Hey, hope everyone is doing okay. Thinking of you all. Thank you for joining me again for another Find Your Flow, Follow Your Passion. I'm really excited to have a dear friend join us tonight. So, hello, thank you for everyone joining us. Sending so much love. So tonight I have, with my special guest, we're going to be talking a bit about film production, about staying true to your passion, and also about
Hello.
oh,
Hi, I'm just working out if my lighting is actually okay for a homemade job, but
no, your lighting looks good. Your lighting looks good.
it,
How was
it,
tonight?
I'm going good. How are you going? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, just lockdown life. So I went for a little like run around the local to get like fired up for tonight. Yeah, just making the most of it. How about you?
Oh, that's good. Well, I've honestly, I've just been working, so it's pretty much just work, work, work. However, I am so excited to finally get off work and relax and, yeah, have a chat to you. So, can't wait for the weekend. That's all I'm saying. Like it's good. It's
I
busy in
know it feels like that. With working from home, it's so funny. Like if you see my kind of like home setup, I've got like my work desk. I've got a yoga mat next to it, and I put this kind of like little like Zen Buddha like kind of by my desk to remind myself to like meditate and to stay kind of really present. And then like where I am at like 3 p.m. I got a lot of sun, and then I was like on a call like on a meeting with one of my like a Teams meeting with one of my team, and they're like, is somebody like doing the finger at your head? And then I was like, what are they talking about? I realized like the Buddha's shadow was like this in the middle of my forehead. So I was like, oh, it's the funny things from like lighting and working from home and the sunlight. And everyone was like, oh, you look like it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the most of the sun coming through my window while I can.
well, I absolutely agree. I mean, I get all the morning sun from my window, so my desk is sitting right there, and I have at the moment I'm on a project that is working with quite a big team. So we have 9 a.m. check-ins every day. That's when the sun is most intense, and I literally sometimes see the screen. But I think it would be too rude to wear sunglasses while in a Zoom meeting. I don't get out of the sun. I love the sun. It's a perfect backdrop, and the lighting actually looks so good. Like it's like beauty lighting. So I'm
I was
really
saying,
so,
I wear sunglasses. Like everyone was like, "Oh, you should put your shades on," but I had like my glasses with a blue light on it, and I was like, "Yeah, I feel a bit rude." Like in a Zoom meeting, just like rock star, put my sunglasses on. Anyway, I am so excited to have you on to as I mentioned with Find Your Flow and Follow Your Passion. This was it was thanks to you that I end up actually kind of starting this. When I tell the story, had the idea for a while. I remember like I did one of our with one of my projects, Sacred Sisterhood. We did this kind of creative flow, and then I remember the next night talking to you on the phone. Do you remember that? And I was like, I have this idea. I want to do this live. I really want to challenge myself and do something new. And you were like so supportive. So I'm so grateful for you inspiring me.
oh, like I look, I honestly think that in a friendship group, you have to support your friends' goals within reason. Because most goals are attainable if you just take small steps towards them. So, and you weren't very. I don't think you were super happy when I spoke to you, and I think you seem to be a bit happier now. So I think like when you're doing something and you're getting closer to achieving that something, even those baby steps like make you glow from within.
Definitely. And it's like, finding that project and, especially right now with, our situation and everyone right now, having to pivot or change direction in what they're doing, this is really kind of, finding out from people, how did they get into their passion? How can you kind of find your flow? I remember, yeah, we must be know each other for like over a decade back in the Goldie days. I think it's been a long time. I think we did we modeled at that fashion show at Elsewhere. I think that's when we first met ages ago. Do you remember that?
Yes, I still have that. Our Gold Coast modeling careers were we were a big deal in the states of
The LCC.
Victoria. Like, what happened? We had such a proud start to our modeling career, and what happened now? Anyway,
Here we
yes.
are. Yeah. I've got my Miami top for us, feeling like them Miami vibes.
I actually am very Miami vibes. I had to throw this on because I realized that wearing like a white bralette was probably not appropriate for a live cross. So, you know, this is my corporate but fun top. I don't get to go corporate work anymore. It's
well,
all
like
black
jacket and had this underneath, so I was like a little bit cheeky today, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm feeling a little bit of Miami vibes." So to get started, I'd love to kind of hear about your story and how you kind of started out about following your passion.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a long story, but I sort of wanted to be an animator from an early age. So when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, you know, when people ask you, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you go, an astronaut or a ballerina or a doctor or whatever kids say. I always had something very specific. I said I wanted to be an animator working at Disney Studios. So people kind of would look at my mom and be like, wow, your daughter really knows what she wants. But that is what I wanted. And it didn't change. I kind of, you know, when you go through school, you just go through school. But when upon graduation, my parents asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I still want to be an animator. Like, I want to work in animation. I love animation. I love the creative outlet. I love film. Like, that's what I want to do. And they said, no, you're going to study a law degree. So I was like, what? Because I'm from an Eastern European background. So, and I think a lot of people from backgrounds of, you know, parents that want them to be a doctor or a lawyer or a respectable career can relate to me because first of all, I was very young when I started uni. I was 16, so I was kind of like forced into it. Like, I didn't really
Wow,
know.
when you started uni, that's crazy. I think that's when we met. I didn't realize that you you were 16.
Yes, I was in all the nightclubs.
Goldie days, GC living.
Exactly. So, you know, I've got a lot of life experience. But basically, I did this degree and I did 3 years of study in a degree I'd never used. I knew in the first semester I didn't want to be a lawyer, but I was stuck. I was stuck in this degree. I was really young. And my parents wouldn't let me do what I wanted. So ultimately, I used the networking that I got within the university. I went to Bond University, and I was, you know, kind of in front of the camera and behind the camera volunteering on shoots when I could. And long story short, about my second year, an editor in the film course said, do you want a job at an advertising agency I'm working at? And I went, what do you mean? Like, I don't have any office experience. I'm in my second year of uni and the job was full time. And he goes, don't worry. I'll put a recommendation with the boss. You'll get an interview. So in I went into a grueling interview. I ended up getting the job and I never looked back because, well, I mean, I had moments of doubt later down the track, but essentially I committed to a year and a half of full-time uni and a year and a half of full-time work, but I wouldn't have any other way because even though I was working and studying like 60 hours a week, I was finally happy and I knew I had a sort of direction that I wanted to go in. It was then, you know, a direction that I almost walked away from, but then ultimately ended up coming back to. So yeah, that's how I started my journey. It was almost like synchronicity and chance, but you know, if you really, really, really want something, you end up doing things to help yourself get there.
And I think that's really important because I was the same kind of at uni. I really networked at uni. I really kind of used all my channels, and anyone that's studying right now, I remember someone telling me like during my career, it's the people that you actually meet when you're at uni that are going to be so beneficial. And even now that people, you know, never burn your bridges, because there's always people throughout your life that you meet and through your career that kind of, you know, who will always really kind of inspire you, and especially when you're following something that is from your heart. So from there, you know, how did you really stay true to your passion?
Well, that's the thing. It's really hard staying true to your passion. You have to really, really want to commit to it 100% and be certain that that's what you want to do. And you've got to put in the hard work because, you know, imagine going into film, which in the first few years isn't very highly paid, even if you get full-time jobs. And then not only are you in an industry that's very volatile, with very challenging work environments and a lot of competition, but you've got so many people around you saying that you won't succeed or try a different job. Like I had family, I had friends, everyone was saying that. And, you know, after a while, I think I was 22 or 23, I thought I'd take a break from film. I'd work in a digital agency, do safe, which I perceived was safe. Now, this was quite a while ago. I think this was about 10 years ago, so the industry was quite different to what it is now. There wasn't this huge explosion of YouTube and mobile video content and things that you can just consume and constantly watch and engage. So I went down the safe path. I got a job at a digital agency, and I thought the best future outcome I could have at 23 was to work my way up in this company that was someone else's company, someone who had built that company up himself, who wasn't really looking out for his staff's best interests. So I realized I needed to get back into film because I was going to work so unhappy. I'd been there 10 months. It was so boring. I was sitting in the office watching the clock tick. Like I was watching the clock tick, and I was waiting for 5 p.m. And I remember I had a moment of realization, and I thought to myself, is this really going to be my life for the next 10 or 20 years? Is this really what I want to do? And I knew that I didn't want to do that. I knew that I wanted to get back into film. I didn't know how, but I started networking again to get more opportunities, and eventually that's what led me back to film.
So what would you say advice you would give to somebody? Because like I know for some people, like networking can be really, you know, intimidating or really kind of, you know, kind of scary. So like what would you say to them, you know, to kind of, you know, start to get to, you know, go out their circle and, you know, kind of meet new people?
Yeah, so not all networking is necessarily going to meet person to person. The best thing you can do is, one of the best things you can do is join groups, same interest groups or creative groups in your area. For example, just in film, there's quite a few groups you can join, like Australia, I Need Crew, professionals, entry level, film industry crew, women in film. There are so many groups. And to be honest, half of my networking comes from interacting in the group, people recommending me, or me like finding new people that I can talk to. So the online networking community these days is actually really strong, and people are a lot more accepting of it and a lot more welcoming of it because it's COVID. Like it's obviously really hard to go to a networking event. However, I can't wait when we open up again to go back to networking events. They're so much fun.
Yeah, and I think you're right, like finding that kind of community. So I know that you did that beautiful video for us for Rising Femme. So, you know, that's obviously something that I'm passionate about, that conscious networking. And, you know, it doesn't have to be your typical networking experience. It could even be like a hobby that you start. Like, you know, I know that I met people, how I shared with flamenco, I met women, and like, you know, even through, you know, like I don't know, like rollerblading or something that you like doing, because I know that you like to do a bit of rollerblading or surfing. It could be anything that, you know, you meet someone and have that conversation with as well. But definitely if it's an interest, like what you're really interested in. So from there, I were telling me your journey from like producer to even director and kind of really expressing yourself creatively. So like really tell me more about how you kind of found your flow, you know, in your industry.
Mm. Yes. So basically, to summarize it, I went back into film. I was working at international film companies until I was 25, and I was constantly told, especially by, you know, people that were much older than me, people that were experienced in film, that a producer can't be a director. And, you know, that was the thinking in the industry. You can't be creative and also organized. Apparently that's impossible. So obviously when someone tells me something can't be done, I've got to do it. Like, my biggest motivator, I couldn't be all the things that I am now, and that I'd never succeed. So, you know, I think for me, instead of taking this negative energy that was thrown at me because I was quite young, quite ambitious, I channeled it within myself to get better, work harder. Instead of letting that get me down, and giving up and say, okay, well, if everyone around me says I can't be these things that I want to be, then I'll just give up. But I didn't. Now you've got to be smart about it as well, because I knew that the industry, needed to build up contacts, and I needed to build up trust in the industry as a freelance producer to give me that leap into a director, because, you know, it isn't that easy to go in the commercial side when I'm producing like campaigns that, you know, are up to like $400,000 to just go, I'll just direct it. Like, I need a folio, I need to build it. So what I did was, I knew that it would not be instant, especially as I'm a self-taught director. But what really pushed me over the line was working with some that were so bad. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to say who they were, but it was so bad that, like, I could just do a better job than this person, that I can direct. And they're the ones that have the portfolio. So it took me 3 years of producing and building contacts. I started doing music videos. So I started working on directing music videos. The first one I did, I met an amazing singer at a bar, and we were in a group. He was with a friend of mine who owned the bar, and we just were smashing espresso martinis till 2 a.m. And then he said to me, I want you to direct my music video. I love talking to you. I love your vibe. I'll call you tomorrow. And he did. And a month later, we shot that music video, and it was a great success. So little baby steps by little baby steps built and gave me the confidence to then approach a commercial set. And one of my first big directing gigs, where I realized, and it all sank in, that, you know, I've worked so hard, I followed this flow. Maybe I kind of overestimated my abilities a bit in this interview, but I still got the job, and I suddenly was interviewing someone in the defense force in an army base, and it just sank in. Like, it was like I had this professional DOP. I had a Facebook post that someone posted saying we need a director. Here I was, and they needed someone female because they were really doing this push for, you know, the kind of like a female vision for the defense force. And yeah, and there I was. And then it was like, okay, I've talked the talk. Now I've got all these teams, and now I've got all these clients looking at me. I've got to direct. And so I just had to. There is no choice. I've just got to do it. And it was. And the thing is, I'm still working with them. It's been, you know, 4 years now. They like what I did, and that's the biggest. That's the way you know that you're doing something right, when clients keep calling you again. So yeah, I hope that shines some light. Like, I just think now I'm really glad I didn't step back, and I didn't, you know, give up, because I really do enjoy the creative side of the industry. And I'm just really, really, really glad I ended up pursuing this path and not giving up. And it's so hard because it seemed like everyone wanted me to give up, but I didn't.
No, and I definitely resonate with what you were saying. Like, starting your own thing, you definitely have to push through with that self-confidence. And even though sometimes you're like, yeah, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, you know, the most qualified or the best person on this, but like, it's that self-belief. So what do you think is the way that you really kind of, when you were starting out, you cultivated that kind of self-confidence and self-belief that, like, I can do this, and, you know, give it a try?
Well, first of all, work to learn as much as you can about what you're about to do. I think it's important, because the more knowledge you have about something, the more confident you'll feel. And of course, you know, experience is something that you will slowly gain over the years. So get as much experience as you can in whatever it is that you want to do. But there is a saying, fake it till you make it. I Sometimes you've got to fake it to make it. But if you do decide to fake it, or if you do decide to bend the truth and you suddenly find yourself in charge of something and you're like, okay, this is a great opportunity. This is quite beyond what I expected I'd be doing. I'm not sure if I'm ready for this. Well, you've just got to do the best job you can because you put yourself in that situation. But never fake it till you make it in something that you completely can't do. Like, I'm not about to go for an interview as, a surgeon because I fail. So yeah, but at the same time, for example, I haven't done an event that's AR or XR, which is new technologies that are coming out in the field, like virtual technology. But if I was doing an interview, I would be honest about my abilities, and I would say I'm familiar with it. I haven't put an actual or directed actual project in it, but I can probably do a good job at this. So even if I haven't done a single one, I can communicate that. I know that I can probably execute something and get the right resources to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I really love about your work and what you do is, like you said, is like, fake it till you make it, but you really have that authenticity coming through. So, really kind of expressing your own unique style through that kind of creative channel. So how have you really stayed true to, your unique expression during this journey?
Sorry, I just did I just cut out?
Oh yeah, you just had like a little frozen.
Oh no! Wait, let me just can you see me now? Or
Yeah,
no?
you're good now. You're live. You're live.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Um, so basically, staying true to myself in my way means not necessarily doing the creative projects I love all the time, because I do work in the commercial field. And to commercialize, art, you do have to basically see the creative side of a lot of commercial content and commercial projects, and draw that out because in my industry in particular. But I did set some rules, some very strict rules. I only have a couple of rules on projects. And that is no animal cruelty projects, no gambling projects. So I've had offers from horse racing companies that are like, can you create this brand video for us? And I decline them. And I stay true to myself because I just would not be comfortable working on a project like that. But in terms of staying true to myself and staying true to what I want to do, my passion is actually encouraging people in the film industry to succeed, to learn, and I want to create a really good environment and make an impact on the Australian film and commercial industry. So the way I stay true to myself is I try and help as many young students, people who are starting out in film, to learn, to understand, because I had such a bad, I live on Bondi Road, so it's police central.
With me, yeah.
Yeah, but I just wanted to really, really just shape the industry from the inside to be a different experience for people, because I wanted to be more positive. I wanted to be more inclusive, because it wasn't. And that's why it was so hard for me from 18 to 25. Well, actually more so in Sydney. Sydney is a lot more competitive and a lot more nasty than Queensland, I think. And I just didn't one of those 40-year-old women that was making her assistant's life hell. I wanted to be the person whose trainees, whose production assistants superseded me, because that's how you create a better future for everyone. So that's how I stay true to myself. I always live by this motto, and just help people in life as much as possible. And it does come back to you, but you do it without the intention of wanting to receive something back. But helping others is a great other form of networking, as long as you're not doing it with and give me something back. I'm helping you goal in mind.
No, well, you want to really help people. And I think that was really important what you said before, is definitely when you're following your passions, aligning it with your values, because, really connecting to yourself and what really inspires you is really based on your values. So based on that, what would you say is three really important values for you? I always ask this when I'm interviewing people for my team or for work, because I just think it's so interesting, like what are three values for work, because sometimes we don't think about it, but it's so important in the work that we do.
Mm-hmm. For my work, okay. I think, well, I really love the word authenticity, and we've talked about that. So it's the first one that pops to mind. So I'd say authenticity, and spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is a challenging one. So authentic, I guess, and grit. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll get a bit gritty.
it's you've got to work so hard. Like it's not love and roses. Like on set, like if you've got to move heavy equipment, you've got 12-hour days. You sometimes, well, pre-COVID, back in the life, I used to spend at least 2 to 3 times a week on planes. I felt like a rock star, even though I wasn't. But you fly in, you have.
You're rock star to me.
Oh, thank you, thank you. But it was just really full on because you'd just constantly be working these long days and spending so much time away from home and in transit, which is where the word spontaneity comes in, because I love that. Like I love, being out of the office and meeting people and traveling around. And honestly, the journey I chose, even though it was harder than, or potentially harder than, the standard path, has offered me really great opportunities. I mean, I've met people and I've been on locations that I wouldn't have even set foot on if I was working a different job.
And I know that you were saying that you really want to kind of help people in the industry and really kind of inspire people that are either studying. I know that you did a talk earlier, and you've done a few times with universities. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I got approached as, and I, I laugh at this, but I am considered an industry leader in my field now, which is very flattering. I got recommended to be approached for students in the production and animation course. And of course, just a bit more background on me, if people are watching, is I do have an animation startup and I have my own production company startup. And I also freelance as a producer. So I do a lot of things, but that is why, and that portfolio of the animation startup I have is why they approached me and asked me if I could do a guest lecture in the producing and production management in animation course. So this is the second year running I've done the course on the latest semester, and it is honestly so rewarding. I really, really enjoy talking about the nitty gritty and what needs to be done in university in order to set yourself up for the future, what you can do now, how you can already start building for a life after university. Because something that I found is a lot of young people don't realize how important it is to network and have that work experience while they're doing university in their field or outside of their field, and they're lost when they finish.
Mm.
And I want to help people find themselves. And so, yep, did that lecture yesterday, no, the other day, and really connected with some lovely young people.
And I think that's so important what you were saying while university. I was kind of like you. I was that gung ho person. I think like after the first year, like I remember already like approaching places to do like internships, and I ended up working for like a real estate photography place on the Gold Coast. That was obviously I was doing marketing PR, and they did all like the kind of the first in the 360 of all like the mansions, and it was just the best experience. And then from there, I think same as you, I'd already got my grad job like the end of my second year, and I was already working. And I think that, it's so important to have that work experience, while you're at uni. And, it's so good that you're inspiring people, especially in that, like to where to go, because I just really feel for anyone studying right now in this uncertainty, because, there isn't a clear pathway. It's kind of like you're studying something, but you're like, okay, what can I do after this compared to, back when we were studying?
Yeah, and that is something that I just, you know my heart goes out to a lot of these students, because it is harder to get your foot in the door now. I mean, I've had now close to 15 years of experience experience in the industry, and it is very easy, or much easier to get jobs because of the networks you've built. But at the same time, the industry itself has grown and become bigger, and we're increasingly going online. We're increasingly using new technologies, and we're increasingly attached to our screens. Who would have thought that 15 years ago we'd be able to do an Instagram live via phone? We were going around with my first one was a Nokia 3210. So like you can, and that's what I was saying to the students. It's like you're now, like, while it's harder and while COVID can cause a lot of uncertainty and a lot of unfortunately a lot of despair for people because they're not sure how it's going to pan out, there's hope. There's definitely hope, because many industries are growing and many creative industries are blossoming, and creativity is, whether you're an artist, whether you're making hand crafted products, or whether you're working in film and television, creativity is something that is also very safe from automation. And well, as well as that, people are increasingly looking to support small businesses. They're increasingly looking to buy locally made. They're increasingly looking to buy sustainable. The world isn't what it is, what it was 10, 15 years ago. And while there are a lot of things that are definitely changing, and no one fun in lockdowns, there are a lot of opportunities to keep going, because at the end of the day, if you're really passionate about your business, if that's what you want to do, you will work out a way. And I think you will definitely work to succeed even in this environment, because you can.
And yeah, that really kind of reminds me, like, when I've been on my travels and going away, and I remember meeting this couple like in the 80s, and this is when I was doing my meditation retreat in Central America, and this always sticks to me. And even now they said to me, we're never going to be in this place, in this time and place ever again, this moment right now. And I think about that, during this kind of lockdown, and we're never going to be in this moment, in this place. And it took me a while, like a few years, to kind of understand that. And we are in a place, in a situation that is so unique, but, we can choose what we make out of it. It's allowing us that time to kind of step back and go, okay, what do I really love? Like, who am I? Like, how can I creatively find what I want and what I'm passionate about. And and there's so many, and like I want people to know that that they can connect. Like they can always reach out to you, Olga. They can always reach out to me. Like there's people that can reach out if like I said, a big part of the industry, I remember you even telling me, is having mentors, having people that are out there that you can reach out to, and people that that you have advice and to share with as well.
Absolutely. Mentors are so important. I was very lucky to have some really amazing producers and directors mentoring me, especially in my early 20s. And that really helped. Not only did that help me learn the ropes of an industry that often is fraught with some pitfalls if you're not careful, but it also made me realize that now that I am at the point where, I am giving lectures at universities, even if they are guest appearances, and I am a senior producer and director, it's so important for me to give back to the community, and also make sure that if I can instill some hope in the latest cohort of students, then that is what I will do. And that's why I always am happy and open to answering any questions that people have about film and connecting. Like, I'm not promising that I'll be able to get you on set, but at least I can give some real insights about the industry, because for a lot of young people, universities don't teach what it's actually like. And it's so surprising to see how shocked are when they go into their real jobs. And, you know, they've studied universities that are all about academics, etc., and, you know, getting high grades, and they get to the real world and realize that it's actually not exactly like that. It's about doing your job well, trying to excel at your job always, of course, but it is also about making those connections. It's about, you know, making those connections throughout your career, because the steps you put in now and the connections you make today and the work you do, you will reap the benefits down the track. Maybe it's 5 years, it's 6 years, maybe it's 10 years, but you slowly build your career. It's not, you know, overnight successes might seem like overnight successes from the outside, but they're actually built on many, many years of hard work across the board. So, yeah.
Exactly. Like really building that portfolio. And also I think a really important part is like building your own personal brand as well with those connections.
Well, exactly. You really do, as a freelancer, find out if you're not good at your job, because I'm sure people will just stop calling you. So you've just got to keep actually doing the best job you can, and you know, delivering the goods, as they say, so you can continue getting those phone calls. But also, I think for me, I'm always like, what I love about the network of people I've cultivated throughout the years is we all have each other's back in our industry. So we kind of just always recommend each other for positions that we know. I mean, I've got friends who are in art department, etc., who I seem to get a lot of requests from other producers for people in art department, and I'll always them, and they're always getting gigs, and it's nice because I know that my friend is working sets and I'm proud of them. So I think like the film industry, especially in freelance, is very much everyone recommending everyone, because, you know, everyone's kind of just helping each other out.
And I think that's so important right now, you know, knowing that we're in this together, helping each other out. And sometimes I think that we forget, you know, the network that we do have around us that we can kind of tap into, that are kind of, you know, if we ask, ask, you know, hey, can you help me out? Or, you know, is there something, you know, that's coming up, you know, recommending someone and, you know, reaching out. It's just, yes, so important.
I agree, because you know what, but also I will say, only recommend someone that you know will do a great job. Do not recommend someone who might do a bad job. If you recommend someone that could do a bad job, even if they're your best friend, I mean, that could really backfire on you. I've been in situations when someone recommended someone that was terrible at their job to do a job that we had to do, and then we would go back to the original person that recommended whoever we worked with, going, why did you recommend this person? I mean, they did a terrible job. What were you thinking? And that's just honest. So yeah, I went on a tangent there, but definitely.
No, so you know yeah, it's really important because it is your reputation who you recommend as well, for something. So before we kind of wrap up, tell us, you know, what do you feel is like the coolest project or kind of project that you've worked on throughout your career that you're really proud, or you're kind of like, you had that moment where you're like, yes, this is why I'm doing what I do.
Okay. It's hard to pick one project. I guess like my most famous one, probably is a mirror prank video that we did for The Conjuring 2. So The Conjuring 2 is a horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we did to promote it is we set up a fake cinema, made everyone watch The Conjuring 1 to show how scary The Conjuring series is. And then they went into another room thinking they were doing their makeup to go to an interview after the show. But instead, when they came onto the double-sided mirror, the lights went off and a specter appeared and scared the living lights out of them. So we basically scared these poor people that you thought they were there for an activation to watch a movie, and made a video about it to promote the next movie. And that video got over 100 million views worldwide and is still circulating around and constantly popping up on my Instagram feed. So to promote in our promotional video for The Conjuring 2, our promotional video actually got more views than the movie itself, and it's still got.
Wow. Oh, that's so interesting. So like when I share this, make sure that you drop the link for it so they can watch it.
Probably the other project was a very fun LA story where I ended up somehow being roped into doing a series of promotional branded content pieces directing Charlie Sheen at Charlie Sheen's house. Um, there was so I had to like film it myself, get all the gear, etc. And the gear isn't equipment. He was, I know Charlie had a controversial past, but he's very much no drinking and no drugs or anything like that these days. So long story short, I prepared for it. I got the right equipment. I ended up doing 3 branded content pieces and directing him, and it just felt super real. I was there on holiday, and in no way did I ever think I would be in that situation. But once again, through my networking and through synchronicity, I ended up in that situation. And what was really funny is after we finished shooting, it was me, the manager that was bringing him over, and Charlie, and we were sitting around the table, and he just looks at me and goes, "So you're a director, right?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, music, commercial content." Like, he goes, "So you have any movie scripts?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. Let me just get back to you. Let me just, do you have a piece of paper? I'll just go write a synopsis. Give me 5." But no, um, like that moment where you actually realize how far you've come from, 5 or 6 years ago being told you can't be a producer and director at the same time to, being in LA just directing what someone who used to be like the biggest actor, one of the most highly paid actors on TV. And it was just like, that was like my moment where I realized I pursued the right path, and I will keep going with it no matter what challenges come. I'll just have to learn and adapt.
And that's so beautiful, like celebrating your successes and like, honoring like how far that you've come. And, I love everything that you do. And thank you so much for coming on and, inspiring people and sharing your journey and sharing your story. I think as, when I first had the idea and I was talking to you, like, you just don't understand, like, even right now from one person sharing something, how much it can impact someone else. So much love for you, sister.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I just really am also just grateful for your support and belief, because I didn't realize I honestly, it was just so refreshing to meet you and then have you connect me with a supportive network of people and be so supportive yourself. And I honestly have never met anyone that supports their friends in their endeavors as much as you do. You've got so many people and so many businesses, and I love how much you give back. So it just gives you, and it's amazing. And I think I just want to say that, because I'm super grateful for you as well. So thank you.
Yeah, so like you, I'm, really passionate about, empowering women and, people just, to support each other. And I think that's the big message out of this is, even though whatever we're going through, lead from our heart, always support those around you, and, really cultivate the network around, and, connection is needed more than ever. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with Olga, she's got, check out her Instagram, also her production company. So do you want to share its studio?
It's a studio, Pines and Palms.
Yeah, so you can reach out to her and have a great night.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.